This episode of Rookie Hunter is brought to you by the Wild Sheep Foundation. Adventures in sheep country can change your life. And as residents of BC, we're very fortunate to have 3 different species of sheep in our province. After attending the Wild Sheep Foundation's annual convention, Sheep Show, in Reno, Nevada, we got to see what conservation looks like firsthand. The Wild Sheep Foundation's ability to raise and put millions of dollars on the ground each year to keep these majestic animals on the mountaintops worldwide is unmatched. The Wild Sheep family is a diverse group of people from all walks of life, and membership is open to anyone. Whether you're a seasoned pro, it's your first time on the mountain, or you just like to see sheep on the hillside, you can sign up and join today. Kelly and I are lifetime members, but you can become an annual member for just $45. You can also become a member of the Less Than One Club, which is the only club you want to get kicked out of. If you've never taken a North American or international ram, you can join us in the Less Than One Club for an extra $25. Plus, Less Than One Club membership also includes entry into a draw for 3 separate Dall sheep hunts, which will be given away at Sheep Show in 2019. For more information on the Wild Sheep Foundation and to become a member, head over to wildsheepfoundation.org. Hey guys, welcome to episode 64 of Rookie Hunter. Today on the show, we're back in the studio and we're covering quite a range of different topics, so we hope you enjoy this one. Now that we've moved back to a weekly schedule, we want to encourage you guys to start sending us emails again with any topics or show ideas, questions, comments, anything. You can send those into info@therookiehunter.com, and we're going to start incorporating those back into the show. We have a big pile of them we have to get through, so expect to hear more of that in episodes to come. Also want to remind you guys to check out our sponsors. Of course, our title sponsor, Wild Sheep Foundation, and also our long-standing sponsor, North Arm Knives. You can check out their websites, or you can find links to them from our website, which is therookiehunter.com. Let's get into this episode. Sit back, relax, crack a cold beer, and enjoy episode 64 with Kelly and I. Mr. Molnar.
What's up?
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, it's a hot summer day here in Kelowna.
Yeah, it's been a cool one, which I got to be completely honest, I don't mind it. Cooler.
Yeah. It's going to get hot though. We're expecting like 34, 35 in the next week or so. Yeah,
which I don't know. This cooler weather we've been having, it's nice because you can actually get out in the middle of the day and hike and do stuff where you get into like the middle of the summer, and I know like just to walk the dog, I got to be out by like at least 7 o'clock to beat the heat and for him to actually have fun out there, because otherwise it's just like way too hot.
Yeah. And fire season has been relatively quiet so far this year, but that'll change in a hurry, I'm sure. It always does once it starts getting super hot. We've had some good rain this season so far, so hopefully that continues.
I hope so.
On the other hand, like fire, as we talk about, it is a good thing overall, but there's definitely some negative impacts too.
Yeah, that's for sure. It was in the news recently. I think like it was over maybe a 5-year span, but there was something like 28 fires that they have confirmed were all arson in the area.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder who's lighting these fires.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it the same guy? Is it different people? Is it a
mule deer looking for more food?
Yeah. Is it somebody who sometimes it's actually firefighters. I'm not blaming firefighters, but like people who just want the work and stuff like that, right? They'll go out there and start fires, which is pretty crazy. But on the other hand, like
is there cases of that?
Oh yeah. It's quite common actually.
Scary.
Yeah, for sure. But we had a fire just a couple of days ago that was just lightning. So I'm all for the naturally started wildfires.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, outside of town is good.
Yeah.
But rejuvenation.
One day we'll get a forest fire expert on the show.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been on the list. We do have a couple contacts that we want to talk to, but see what happens.
We've tried. We'll keep trying.
Should we talk a little bit about, this podcast we're back in the studio, but the last one we were outside and check that one out if you haven't listened to it yet. There's a couple. Norris took a spill right through the sill tarp,
which is sort
top of us,
foreshadowing too.
Yeah, he took a bigger spill as we were heading back down to the trailhead. I don't know what he took off after, but he took off full bore downhill, didn't see a ledge, fell like 10 to 12 feet straight down onto flat ground.
Yeah, we were just about back of the car.
Yeah. So yeah, that was not fun to watch. And I think he got lucky.
Yeah.
He definitely sprained his front leg, like his bottom above his paw there. And they did x-rays and all that. It was all good as far as broken bones, but man, I thought he was going to have like multiple broken legs or worse.
Mm-hmm. You had a theory on what you think might happen. We were just scratching our heads that night trying to figure out why you would have done it. But I think your theory is probably correct.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that isn't really a theory is that he's not that bright.
Yeah.
Because he's not that old. He's not 2 years old yet. And yeah, sometimes when he locks onto something, he just goes. It's impossible to snap him out of it. But I think what happened was, like, as we were coming down the trailhead, the road, we started getting closer and closer to the road, and there was a vehicle kind of motoring along. But the angle that we were looking down, you couldn't see the road itself. You could just see like the canopy of this truck moving across the landscape.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he just thought it was something moving in the wild, right? And he decided he was going to chase that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't realize that there was a drop down to the road, basically. So, I mean, it was a good 100 to 150 yard sprint for him before he hit that, slammed on the brakes and kind of tipped over the edge.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a good thing to experience when your dog gets injured like that.
Yeah.
But hopefully he learned something too.
Yeah, hopefully, man. That was brutal.
Yeah.
You stayed up, you were trying to find a way down, but basically it was all just like
I couldn't.
cliff. So
I had my pack and stuff on
Yeah.
too. So I started thinking like, oh man, if I try to cliffhanger down this ledge, I'm going to end up breaking my leg. And
So I ran down to grab the car, hopped in there, drove to where he was. The couple who was driving by, thankfully had stopped.
Mhm.
And they were sitting there on the road with him, and the look on their face, because they saw him jump off the cliff.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost stopped right before, and he kind of, I don't know how he fell off, if it was kind of like a wall run down, or if he just kind of went straight off.
Yeah. But yeah, the look on their faces, they're just like, holy shit. And the guy's like, man, I don't know if you heard him say that because you were probably still coming around the other side, but he's like, I think he definitely broke both of his front legs. I'm like, oh, fuck, this is going to be brutal. But
that would be horrible.
Yeah. So that was the best case scenario I couldn't believe how high that thing was, man. And even if he like stopped when he got to the edge of it, he still would have had quite a bit of speed there. And he got a little chin rash. His chin was bleeding and basically scraped off his little white goatee there. Fuck,
it's brutal.
Poor guy. And then, we got back to your house and we were covered in wood ticks too, which was the icing on the cake.
Good times.
Geez, we were out for like 5 hours and, the last 2 minutes of the hike, and that's what happens.
Yeah. So live and learn.
Good times.
Fortunately, it all he'll be limping around for another few weeks, but it seems to be best case scenario so far.
Yeah, man, definitely.
So yeah, that's the update.
Yeah. Glad he's all right.
As far as Norris goes, but yeah, what else is going on?
Nothing too exciting, man.
Yeah.
Just working on my house. Can't wait for this shit to be over.
Yeah, definitely.
But this beer tastes good. What's on tap, Cal?
2 Wolves.
Tell me about this beer, because as soon as you walked in here, you told me something that I didn't know. I just saw the wolves. I'm like, oh, that looks sweet.
Well, I don't know this for sure. I've heard that they're against wolf hunting. So we may have to look into that a little bit. So
I'll say this. They make a nice beer, regardless of...
I always say, though, like, I've never really met a beer I didn't like. they're all pretty good in their own way. I mean, there's a couple, like the one, a holiday beer you had. I can't remember which one. We actually drank it on the podcast.
Oh,
it was some weird, like,
oh yeah,
candy cane something.
Yeah, that was gross.
I mean, that's a different level, but yeah. There's a lot of craft breweries in BC, and sometimes it's good to look into what they stand for.
Yeah.
But if there's two wolves on the front, it looks like a cool can, and it attracts a lot of hunters too. So I don't know if they realize that they're marketing to hunters, but
well, let's put it this way: I'm sure we have a mutual respect for wolves.
Good point.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on. One thing that it was actually my brother-in-law sent us a message and asked us if we knew anything about e-bikes. Do you want to talk about those?
Yeah, like I've read a little bit and reached out to a couple people, and it seems like an absolute rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So there's a couple classes of e-bikes, and I don't think maybe it's different in different areas, states and provinces. So reach out to us if you guys have like solid rules on this.
Yeah.
But in BC, it doesn't seem like there's a provincial policy that kind of addresses e-bikes in a black and white way.
Yeah.
And there's a couple different, like there's assisted e-bikes, and those I've heard from a couple folks, like that seems to be okay because you're still having to pedal. There's some assistance that's happening with the motor, but you still kind of have to pedal to power it, right?
Okay.
But then there's e-bikes that are full blown, the motor's doing all the work all the time, and that crosses the line. Is what I've heard.
That seems to me like a full on.
And I guess when we say crossing the line, I'm talking about hunting in an area that is shut down for motorized vehicles, right? Like provincial parks and stuff.
Yeah. Just like your uninformed thought on the whole thing.
Opinion?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it depends kind of where you're hunting. Like if you're hunting in a non-provincial park area and you're just like similar to an ATV or whatever, like if it depends on each person and each what you want to do, and maybe you have disabilities or like there's some advantages to it as far as like provincial park hunting. And I just don't think any motorized vehicle that puts you in an advantage over the people that are in there to avoid all those, motors and they want to put their feet on the ground or they want to use horses or whatever. I kind of like that. So I lean on the like no e-bikes in provincial parks.
Yeah.
For hunting.
I would 100% agree with that. It's one of those things, man. It's like, I did a hunt, I think it was in December. And I was in an area that was, motor vehicles of any type were banned in that area, and came across some people on a quad. You hike in there, you're super quiet, you put in the effort, and then you see a quad, and it almost like, it sort of like overwrites all the effort you just put into your hunt because somebody is just putting around, making noise.
Yeah, you're kind of relying on your training and mental power to get you to a spot that you think another person won't be able to get to. And then there's a guy sitting there with a quad that hasn't worked. Well, I don't want to say that, people that use these things aren't fit or they don't train as much as anybody else. They might be using it as a tool for like one certain hunt or whatever, like, but in an area where they're not supposed to be in the first place, it's definitely like a kick to the teeth to the guy that hiked out there.
Yeah, totally.
And it's also like they could lose their quad and get pretty hefty fine by doing it. So I don't understand why you'd even
risk it. Yeah. But yeah, so I guess what I'm getting at is I would sort of feel the same way with any type of e-bike if I went up on it with a super heavy pack and sweated my balls off to get into an area, and all of a sudden you see this bike just cruising up there with the assist on there.
Little like, ring.
Yeah.
On your left.
Then it sort of just spoils all of the effort that you put into getting. I don't know. It's kind of a mental thing that just doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah. If you want to surprise a bear, get on an e-bike, silent e-bike.
Yeah.
Well, there's the safety concern with them too, because like trail, I think the province is worried that people are going to get themselves way far out there that may not be experienced enough to handle that type of thing. But I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's one of those things that's, it's just so new that, we'll have to wait and see what the decision is. But
yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like the intent of the regulations, hunting regulations, aligns with the e-bike, right?
Right.
Like whether it's for better or worse, the intent isn't necessarily aligned right now.
Yeah.
So, and I looked through the new regulations and searched bike and bicycle and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing that really. The only rule is that obviously you can't shoot anything from a bike,
right?
Sitting on a bike or anything like that.
Hey, here's a question for you. We're talking about using canoes. You can't shoot out of a canoe, can you?
No, I don't think you can shoot
or
out of a watercraft.
Yeah.
No, I think you have to put it ashore and then, yeah.
Just to think of it as a vehicle then, obviously. Or
yeah.
I wouldn't want to shoot out of a canoe anyways because you're rocking in the water. But
yeah, well, there's a definite safety component.
Yeah,
because you pull a 12 gauge out on a canoe and try to fire that thing, you'll be in the water. But yeah, I would highly advise not shooting out of a boat, any kind of boat, per the regulations.
Nice. Yeah, somebody asked me that. They're like, "Oh yeah, you just sneak up on them." And just blast them right out of the canoe. I'm like, I don't think you can do that. I don't think I would want to do it either.
You know, no.
Physics might not work in your favor.
No. And I also think, I mean, I'd have to look on the thing, but I don't think you can shoot an animal that's in the water either.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, because there's risk of losing it.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, going back to the e-bikes, I was going to mention, I think in some states, from the mountain bike side of things, they're banning any kind of e-bike from certain mountain bike trails for the same type of reason. So people are already starting to kind of put rules in place for that type of thing.
Yep.
And I think it's creating a bit of a stir between non-users and users of the bikes.
Exactly. And land management.
Yeah.
Because there's actually an article, if you Google CBC e-bike, there's an article from like March of this year where it talks about the province is actually looking and talking to stakeholders about what policy should be in place. And obviously like the mountain bike trail organizations and stuff are really pushing for it. And the land managers are kind of a little wary because they don't know like, okay, how far are people going to be going in these things?
Right.
And how do we maintain the trails and who's going to maintain them and who's going to pay for it?
Right.
And the safety aspect and then the hunting aspect. And it's an interesting technology creates these interesting problems.
Same thing with like drones and stuff like that. These different types of technology just kind of shoot up overnight and then nobody's really sure how to handle them. Yeah, interesting. I'm curious to, like you said, to hear from anybody who has either uses them or has rules in their state or province, and let us know what's going on with those. If you use one, I'd be interested. You see a lot of guys on Instagram posting photos with those bikes and stuff like that. So it is interesting. Yeah. And I don't know. I'm sure it's fun.
I mean, we know a lot of folks that use them to kind of rip down logging roads and then you can hike from there or do whatever, right? Like it is a cool tool in certain situations.
Yeah, I think of it as like just as an ATV, same kind of idea.
Yep.
I just prefer to use my own power when I'm out in the bush. So my preference would obviously just be use a mountain bike if I was going to use a bike. But on the disability side of things, like you mentioned, I think people in that situation should have every opportunity to get on the backcountry. And if that's something they need, then sure.
So you know what? This is interesting. You raise a good point. So in the regs, I just read, it is unlawful to shoot wildlife from a motor vehicle or a boat propelled by a motor.
Interesting.
That's item 20 and 23, to hunt, take, wound, or kill big game while it is swimming unless it has been previously wounded. So what's the definition of swimming? I think that's when your feet can't touch the ground.
Right.
And motorized boat shouldn't include a canoe. So maybe something we can look into a little bit further.
Yeah, because the person who asked me that about, using the canoe they're a hunter. That's what, and more experience than I have. That's why I was kind of like,
you might be on the right track then.
But yeah,
I don't think we should.
I'm not going to do it.
Well, I don't think we should say like one way or the other, but it appears that if you look at, unless I'm missing something, we may have been wrong on those last 2 points.
Interesting.
So we'll look into that further. I'm sure we'll get an email from somebody kind of explaining this to us.
Yeah.
This is new to us because we haven't, done a canoe hunt for moose before, but that's kind of what we're planning. I don't know if we mentioned that yet, but.
No, we do you want to jump into that now?
Sure.
Okay. I think we kind of talked about it, but we ended up meeting with the other two guys that are going to be joining us, Kevin and Kyle. Kevin, you guys, if you've listened to all of our episodes, he was in one of the very early ones, and he's joined us on a few. He was there on the elk hunt and that too. So him and Kyle is a friend of yours, so I've just gotten to know him a little bit through you, but I think we've got a solid group of guys for this hunt. And the four of us, well, the three of us, us and Kyle got together here, and we called Kevin through FaceTime there and started to talk about some ideas about how we want this hunt to look. I was nervous about what we were going to be doing originally, but the more we talked about it, even prior to that meeting, the better I started to feel about it.
I think everyone's willing to kind of learn and consider each other's perspective. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And we're all rookies. So it's like it's a rookie moose hunt because none of us have hunted moose before.
So I think after talking, I think everybody's on the same page. We want this to be a backpack style hunt as much as possible as we can in this area. That's sort of like the main root of my concern was like, it's so road heavy, just with logging roads and stuff like that. It's incredible. That I was worried that type of hunt wasn't going to be possible. But the more we looked at maps, we've found some options and some ideas. And I think that's the kind of hunt that everybody wants to do. So
yeah.
The idea that I had was to make use of the canoe. I have an old Clipper canoe, and I've got access to one more. So we can get into some of these lakes. We can follow some streams that come off these lakes, get further back in away from anywhere that there could possibly be people, and sort of hike into some pretty cool areas. They look cool on the on Google Maps and stuff like that. So that's kind of the idea. It's one of those things that you can look at Google Earth as long as you want, but when you get in there and you're actually standing on the ground, it looks a lot different.
Yeah.
But it definitely looks like it has potential. So I think we're going to make use of the canoes as much as possible. And that's going to be our main vehicle for the most part, I think.
Yeah.
It should be fun. But we'll have a base camp where we can still set up a barbecue and be able to cook some proper meals, and then just be spiking out from there.
For sure. Yeah, it's hard to know. Like, you see on Google Earth, and then you get there and the bush is like 15 feet high.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, for sure.
What are your thoughts on Instant Pots?
I don't know anything about them.
No?
No.
It's like a slow cooker, but it's a pressure cooker. And it's supposed to be like this, you can do any meal in 5 minutes kind of thing.
Right.
We actually have one, Brie and I. In a sense, it kind of, because there's like, with wild game, everyone's trying to, especially if you don't have a lot of cooking skills, it might be a good tool for folks that are trying to create things. And maybe they don't have 8 hours to put in a slow cooker or whatever. But it's also good for fish and steaming and that kind of stuff. Sous vide is another tool that's kind of
I really want to try bigger, that. Yeah.
On the cooking side. But I thought, Instant Pots, they're handy, but I kind of like the braising and the putting the effort in to like do the 4-hour braise or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I just thought, if people need a fresh new way to cook some wild game and they're kind of into that slow cooker, it's amazing how fast those things can break down some game. You can put a shoulder in there, or osso buco or whatever.
Yeah.
And it works pretty good.
I wonder if it was on Beat Eater or what, but they're talking about doing the sous vide and just trying different techniques. So like searing it before,
searing it after.
and after, and trying to remember where I was hearing that. But it sounds like it's kind of fun to just sort of try a different approach to it. And my main concern always when I'm cooking wild game is overcooking it. I'm very happy to undercook it, but I'll be the only one eating it. So it's like you have to nail that temperature so that I'm not going to be pissed off if it's overcooked, and my wife is going to eat it if it's, or she won't if it's too, like I'll eat that shit pretty much raw.
Yeah, I mean, one of the advantages I think of the Instant Pot with that type of stew kind of, you can do lots of stuff in there, but it locks a lot of moisture in, right? Because it's a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
So there's kind of an advantage there. But
it breaks down the meat a little bit, so it should be tender and all that, I guess, right?
You can almost do anything in like 10 minutes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Have you had success with it then, or?
Yeah. I've actually steamed some fish in there that turned out well. We had some vermilion from the fishing trip.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a rockfish.
Right.
So, yeah, I put it in there for like a 1 minute steam and it was perfect.
It's like a white?
Yeah, white fish.
Yeah, nice.
A few stews. What else did we do? Oh, salmon chowder. Not the one I did. I posted a picture of salmon chowder. That was in like a cast iron pot, but my parents did a salmon chowder and theirs was better than the one I made for sure. And they used the Instant Pot. So point for the Instant Pot.
Nice.
But yeah, just a tool you can look at. They're pretty popular nowadays.
Cool.
But
yeah, I haven't really looked at it. I've heard you mention it, and somebody else was talking about them too. Sounds super. I had no idea that they existed though.
Yeah.
Because we're renovating our house, we've been doing constant trips to Home Depot, which I fucking hate that place. But luckily for me, they had a Traeger
nice
demo there, so they were actually grilling stuff outside. And originally, I brought up the idea of a Traeger to Ash. She's like, "We're not getting a friggin' another barbecue." Slowly, I've kind of been just throwing in little pitches here and there, and she's come around to it. So they were cooking random meat and stuff on there, and they just had little samples you could try. It's like, oh my God, this is really good. Yeah, we should probably get one. But I think cooking with a pellet stove takes quite a bit of practice as well. And I think the key is you can't be opening up the lid and peeking in there like you do with a normal barbecue. You have to keep that thing on lockdown to keep the heat in there. But once you figure that thing out, man, I think you can cook some good stuff on there.
Yep.
That's how we've got the mule deer shoulder that I've got at my place that I'm saving for some sort of special occasion, and that's how I'd like to do it. But
cool,
we'll see. I don't have a Traeger though.
Yeah, we might have to
go up
find
to Adam's
somebody
place.
that does.
Yeah.
I was thinking, there's a engagement exercise that the province, this is more for BC listeners.
Okay.
But the province is reaching out, trying to engage stakeholders with regards to wildlife and habitat management, which, I mean, that's right down our alley, right? And that's what we've been talking about for I don't know how long. And a main complaint with a lot of hunters and anglers is with regards to declining wildlife populations and land use and habitat and all that kind of stuff. So here's your chance. Province, you go to engage.gov.bc.ca/wildlife and habitat.
Okay, we'll put up a link.
We'll put up the link. And all you got to do is go there. It's broken down into like 8 challenges or questions. So one of them is declining population. One of them is funding. And you can go in there and you can add comments into each one of these things and, just voice your concern. You don't have to know everything. You can just say wildlife is important to me and hit period and hit enter. I think what we would like to see is just, there's about 450 comments there right now. It opened in mid-May and it's going to close by the end of July. So we still have some time. There's about 450 comments there now. I think we could do a whole lot better in BC.
Yeah.
Like when you talk to hunters and anglers, that's all we talk about. So I think we need to, like, everyone listening, if you can take one thing away from this podcast, is just, you know, take 15 minutes, go on there, write some information. Like, how do you think it should be funded? If you want to talk about that, or like, what do you see in your area around declining populations? What's important to you? Anything like that. Just get out there and, you know, write something in the comments, get that number up. It'll make a difference for sure.
Yeah, for sure. We were talking about this before we started rolling. I think the tricky thing is, and one of the reasons why there's so few comments on there is people just don't really know that is out there. So
yeah, part of it's, yeah, like you said, with the NGOs and some of the places like in the States there with BHA, and they're very good at marketing and social aspect of it, right?
It's non-existent here, basically.
Yeah, it feels like that.
Yeah. So, all these things sort of just get swept under the rug, and nothing never really seems to change. Yeah. And it's because we all sort of just quietly, you know, we voice our concerns
to each other
in our groups. Yeah. But beyond that, we don't really do much. I guess, you know, that's could be a reason to encourage guys to become part of the BHA in BC or wherever you are. They're doing an awesome job in the States. Yeah. But that, you know, the BC chapter is really just starting to kind of get its wings here a little bit. And, you know, I think it'll take off at a certain point, but it takes all of us to kind of start talking about it.
Yeah.
And making things happen, because if we sort of just, you know, having pint nights and stuff is great, but you have to take action beyond that night, because it doesn't really go past that point otherwise, right?
And I think that's kind of where we can come in a little bit is there's so many sources of information. Like there's the news, the internet, Twitter, there's BC Wildlife Federation, you know, organizations like the Wild Sheep Society and WSF and BHA, and everyone is pushing, you know, prioritizing what's important to them, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of information. Everyone sends out newsletters, and we're all members of these organizations, and it's like the newsletters are very long. It's everybody's busy. We got, you know, some people have families, and I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses for anybody, because at the end of the day, this is important to everyone, but we need a way to, like, you know, get the key messages out there, keep people educated, so that when they do hear messages from other sources that are maybe their intent is different, and not aligned with wildlife management and land management, then maybe it'll help people kind of sort through the rock a little bit.
You know what what I see from what's going on in the States is, like, they'll pick one issue. So say it's a certain senator that's like advocating to sell off public lands, and they'll just attack, you know what I mean? And it seems like they've been pretty successful. You know, when something like that comes up, they're all sort of fighting on that same issue. So I think maybe that's what we need to be doing up here in BC, is use that as an example. So say it's caribou. Let's get everybody on the same page with caribou. Let's all sort of focus our energy and our social media presences, and everybody, let's go after this one thing and make change. If it's like, okay, we've got this issue here, we got this one here, there's a couple guys posting about that one, there's a few guys, it sort of just gets lost, you know what I mean? But if we were able to focus everybody's attention in BC or in Canada, or, you know, even if we got help from guys in the States on one issue at a time, and find some success. Because if you look at
steelhead, salmon, and caribou, kind of the big ones.
And on the opposing side is like grizzly bear.
Yeah.
Other groups focused solely on taking away that hunt. They weren't trying to take away hunting as a whole. That's probably their goal in the end, but they successfully stopped the grizzly bear hunt by focusing all their energy on that one thing, right? They saw an opportunity and they went after it, and they were successful in stopping that. So
see, that's a perfect quote to put on the engagement website.
What's the quote?
Well, just what your idea is, right? Like that's what they're looking for is,
just one issue at a time.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we just need to put all that feedback up there.
Mm-hmm. So what's the issue? What do we start with? How do we do it?
Yeah.
info@theRookieHunter.com. Send us your thoughts and let's get some shit done.
Yep. But first, go to the engagement page and
do
put
that.
Your thoughts up there.
Totally. We'll put that link on our homepage on the RookieHunter.com. We'll put it right up there. That's kind of where we put things that are important to us. So we've had that petition up there for a while too. And certain things, there's groups that we want you guys to become members of. So everything is kind of on that main page there. So check it out.
You know, Wayne Gretzky says you miss every shot you don't take. So
it's true.
You can complain and say that nothing ever gets done, and putting comments up there doesn't do anything at the end of the day, but that's a shot you're not taking. So.
Yeah. Why not just do it? Yes.
Okay.
I think we made some progress there.
That's the homework for the day.
Do a little edit here.
It's a little gap, eh? What am I looking at here?
Okay, we were talking about going back to the moose hunt, lining up some challenges, and you made a good point. It's like, let's choose something where we eliminate the possibility of injury. So it's fun to push past boundaries, but not to the point where
you have to skip your hunt.
Yeah, exactly. So I was putting, and I think to be clear, the reason why it's fun to do these challenges is because it holds you accountable and you have to do it. And it's fun, right? So, you know, with the four of us, we say, hey, this is my goal individually. This is your goal. We can all kind of decide what each of us want to do. And whoever doesn't do it, I don't know what they have to do. We have to come up with a punishment. It might be buying the beer for the trip or packing out the antlers, or we'll see what it is. But we have to come up with what that is. So hopefully on the next episode, maybe we have an idea of what each of us is doing. But I think it's important that we all just choose something individually, stick to it. There was talk of no booze in September. That'd be a tricky one. But obviously we want to have like a fitness aspect to it leading up to this thing. And one of the main reasons is...
Well, it was no beer.
No alcohol. Sober September is what Kyle said.
Okay.
As you set down your beer. So that'll be fun, but I think there's going to be a fitness aspect to it. And that's sort of coming from a safety angle. We all have to be ready to tackle some tough terrain and some heavy pack loads. So
I've got an idea for a challenge.
Let's hear it.
I'm going to do 160 kilometers. So 120 kilometers on bike in a month.
Yeah.
And 40 kilometers running.
Nice.
So that's 10K
a
week on runs, which isn't that much.
Hey, man.
I just don't want to, I want to work into it. And then the bike is more, I live up on a pretty steep incline there. Yeah. So it's a good workout going up that hill.
Yeah, for sure.
I've started riding my bike to work quite a bit too. So
nice. Yeah. The fun thing is too, is like, outside of doing the challenges, I haven't really been keeping track of like logging my kilometers for running. I've still been doing it quite a bit, running lots of hills and stuff like that in preparation. But it is fun to log those hours and those kilometers and stuff like that and look at it.
Yeah.
Because it does push you to go a little bit further each month and that. But so that'll be fun. Anyways, we'll I think you got yours decided. I haven't thought about mine just yet.
So this is for August, right? Or do you want to just start next week?
Well, yeah, I think we should start sooner than later. Okay, for sure. Might as well.
Let's start it next week,
and we'll be fucking jacked and ready to head in there and pack out a moose.
Yeah, I just want to keep it somewhat reasonable. I mean, we can do another one in August too, and ramp it up even more.
Yeah, I figured we'd do something all the way leading up to the hunt.
Yeah, for sure.
Why not? There's no sense doing it now and then tapering off before the hunt.
Yep.
So
also I use, for the folks that started following us on the Nike Run app, I'm not using that one anymore. I'm on Strava.
Yeah, I'm going to switch because that Nike app burned me so many times, man. It fucking pissed me off. So I think I'm going to switch over.
Yeah, I like Strava because you can choose what activity you're doing. You run, swim, bike. There's options there for whether it's a commute or whether it's training,
right?
Or whatever, right? So I don't know. It's a good app. And it's also worldwide too. So if you go anywhere, you can check Strava and see if there's a marathon happening nearby.
Yeah, for sure. There's a couple of mech runs coming up that I'm stoked about.
Yeah, I think they use Strava too.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. And there's, I never thought about this because we were talking about leaving early. There's a mech run the day before we're set to leave on our hunt.
Ooh, that's risky.
That is risky.
Just don't try to win it.
Yeah, no.
You don't want to pull your...
You know what? There was one the day before I left for Germany and I skipped that one because I'm like, it was a trail run, like a mountain one. I'm like, I'm going to fucking break my ankle. And that's the last thing I want to do before heading to Germany when there's got people relying on you and a fun trip to boot. So
exactly.
Yeah, so I'll think twice about that one probably. But we'll see. Oh no. Beer down. We'll deal with that after.
Oh man. Just things are falling everywhere. Dogs, beers. All right. So like as far as challenges go, what you haven't come up with yours yet, but
no, but I'll do that. I'll have it ready for next week.
Okay. And are you going to be on Strava?
Yeah, I think I'll switch over to that one because like I said, that Nike app, yeah, fuck that app. So I'll switch.
Okay. So I'm just under my name.
Okay.
Full name. I'm not sure what you'll be under, but people can
let everybody know next week. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, same idea. You can share and do whatever.
Yeah, it's fun, man. There was quite a few guys who were running with us on the Nike app, which is kind of a bummer to leave that app for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to switch over and join us on Strava, that would be cool because I really enjoyed just watching everybody else and you can compete against each other and it's fun, man. It's just nice to know that other guys are out there with the same goal and we're kind of all, it just makes it feel like a tighter group, all kind of with individual goals, but for the same purpose. I think we're all out there getting ready for the backcountry, which is super important, I think. So that'll be fun. So we'll let you guys know what we're doing next week. We'll get Kevin and Kyle to decide what they're up to, and you can probably expect to hear from them maybe in August or September. We'll get those guys in for a pre-hunt podcast, and we'll definitely be recording from Moose Camp. So
maybe from the canoe.
Maybe.
This Zoom mic is pretty handy.
Yeah, I love that thing, and we're probably going to alternate quite a bit between studio and being outside, just because why not?
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather be outside than in here.
Okay.
Although it's not that bad in here, but
no,
it's summertime.
Cool, man. Well, I guess that's everything for today. Just a quick update from us.
Pretty much, yeah. So we do have some interviews kind of in the works coming up, but being summertime, it's just hard to line up everyone's schedules. So there might not be too many over the summer, but once we get back into normal schedules and stuff like that, we'll have some more stuff coming up. So look forward to those. Nothing to announce at the moment, but we will be coming at you weekly from here on out. So
sounds good.
Yeah, you'll have to put up with us more often.
Yeah. All right. Well, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Did you read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Because it says...
Okay, hold on. We're back. We have to clarify something.
So we have to clarify this Two Wolves beer thing.
Here, it's right on the can. Read it, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
It's right on the can. There you go. 5 cents from every purchase of every bottle or can of Two Wolves beer across the country will go to supporting the protection of wolf habitats in Canada and preventing their extinction. But there's more.
Okay.
On the website, it says... the preservation of wolves and our ecosystem is a major concern for all Canadians, and this cause is close to our hearts, so we are putting our money where it counts. I have a couple issues with that. Should we talk about it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ecosystem, yes. Wolves, not so much for me. I do think we need to protect wolves, but I don't think we need to primarily protect wolves over and above the ungulate populations that the wolves are, one cause of the caribou population decline is the wolf population dismantling them. And that's due to habitat problems as well. It's all kind of a big network. But
yeah.
I don't think we should I read this as they want to protect the wolves, period.
I'm torn on this one because it says supporting the protection of wolf habitat.
But isn't wolf habitat everything?
Yeah, I guess. But this is what makes it tricky because I'm all for protection of habitat. So
yeah,
wolves,
exactly.
If this money, the way I look at it is almost like, okay, well, if they're protecting habitats of wolves, then they're also helping to protect the habitat of other ungulate populations and all that kind of stuff too.
Possibly. It does say wolf research and preservation, though.
Yeah. So that's an interesting one because if we'll have to look into this more closely, but if it's going to habitat, then that's good for other species.
Possibly.
Right? Possibly. But
if habitat, I think any money going to habitat is a good thing.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Remove wolf from the equation and I like it.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like
yeah.
Ecosystem, yes.
Yeah.
Wolves, a little worrisome.
Mm-hmm.
Only because I don't think wolves necessarily need help in BC. I think they're going to do fine.
Yeah.
I think caribou, salmon, steelhead, like there's a lot of other populations that really need our help right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's the wolves.
No, I 100% agree with that. Wolves, I think, are important.
Yeah, I think they should always, I'm proud to say we have wolves in our diverse ecosystem.
Yeah. And they have their purpose.
And I would never want to see them gone.
No.
But I also do not want them to make everything else gone.
No, because if we do a really good job of protecting them, then we're basically giving a death sentence to everything else.
Yeah. So
to be continued, I suppose. We'll do some more research.
I mean, I don't doubt like Two Wolves and other companies they're trying to do a good thing.
Yeah.
I just think that there's a bigger network of relationships at play that we have to look at the whole big picture sometimes and not just
there's bigger issues, let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Wolves to me aren't number one.
No, because I until they become number one. Like maybe they decline so much that eventually they do, but I just feel like there's other animals that are in that spot right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I just little worrisome, but I mean the beer does taste fine.
It's tasting less good by the minute.
Anyways, just a PS.
Yeah. Well, till next time.
Cheers.
Cheers. This episode of Rookie Hunter was also brought to you by North Arm Knives. North Arm Knives are handcrafted and sold directly through a father and son team right here in British Columbia. Choose from a selection of outdoor knives, kitchen knives, and custom engravings from NorthArmKnives.com. They ship internationally and guarantee all of their work. Kelly and I have put their products to the ultimate test and give them our stamp of approval. Head over to NorthArmKnives.com.